Making your way through work Monday takes everything you got. Then Monday night rolls around and you realize there's a shot. You're only 10 points away. All those times when your team had no fight, they're just so gosh darn frail. Then your star quarterback let another deep ball sail, and your third round pick bet on his team. Then go check out our streets where everybody knows your game, and they listen to complaints. You wanna be where you can see our bodies bring you no shame. You wanna go where everybody knows your pain.
Welcome back to another episode of Dad Bod Fantasy Squad. I am here with Alex, also known as Clay Thompson. Thank you for taking the night off from Golden State tonight and joining us here, dude.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta spend time with your family.
Yeah, I think it's important. I don't think it's all about, being a splash bro all the time. Sometimes you just gotta kick back, go home Sunday, eat your pasta, and be you. Talk football a little bit.
Yeah.
Talk to the sport you're not even in. I mean, you don't even dress for it. You're just ready to go for golf,
You should always be ready to go golfing.
You have a Tom Brady jersey that's 5 years old now in the background.
It's probably closer to 10 years old.
Damn.
Yeah. I got a few of those bad boys.
When was the last time you put that puppy on?
Bro, it's a medium-sized jersey. Like, I would put that on, it would look like a muscle shirt on me.
I don't see anything wrong with that, dude. Just go out and
next episode, I'm just going to put it on and not breathe.
What do we got down there? We got some Christmas lights coming out. Is that what I see?
No, that's stuff Jenny's putting away, like clothes to put in the basement for the season.
That's a sparkly dress right there, dude. It looks like Christmas lights.
What the hell are you talking about?
I don't know. I see something sparkling. It's probably, what are they called? Little flip things that shine?
I don't know what you're talking about, dude.
No. Okay. Well, we got waivers for you today because I'm making Alex uncomfortable as I call out his background, even though mine's
what the hell are you looking
mine's
at?
a disaster back here, dude. We don't have a very professional background. Yours is obviously your jersey pulls more weight than anything I have in my background. I have a cat post.
Yeah.
I have an N64 in a bag.
It looks like a typical suburb.
I have some
basement.
How do I find it? I have some really heavy dumbbells right there.
I was about to say I don't know how that guardrail is able to support all that weight.
Honestly, they're dented. It's dented.
Are those paintings from like wine nights?
I have never done a painting at a wine night. Jess did make that though, so you're accurate.
Oh.
Right at the top is Belize.
He's Belize.
The coolest place I've ever visited. Definitely go check it out if you haven't. All right, let's get to some actual football. So week 10 is in the books. My damn thing didn't edit to say week 9. Everywhere else did except for Facebook. So sorry if you're on Facebook watching. Week 10 is in the books. Shootouts all around.
Some good games.
Really good games.
Yeah, I needed it.
I got to go home and I was in town. We had Friendsgiving on Saturday, and afterwards we'd take Nina to my parents. My parents actually met us halfway, thankfully, and then we said we'll come back. We'll bless you with our presence for some spaghetti. We'll grace you with us.
Some Sunday sauce.
Some Sunday sauce. We went, got some pasta, and I was just watching the Browns game with my dad, and it was not only a crazy ass Browns game, but it is just, he says some of the funniest shit, dude. Like literally, like he gets me so amped. Like, you ever have that feeling of like excitement that it's like this like weird, like you're like smiling and you're like, because you're actually like, you're convinced to whatever this person or whatever you're hearing, you're so convinced that you're like, I'm genuinely happy right now. Yeah, and he's over here like, yeah, I don't know if you watched the Browns game,
Yeah.
But there was a lot of big moments, right? There was the Cedric Tillman block, huge moment.
Yeah.
There was David Njoku just high stepping on people and going about 5 to 7 to 8 yards further. And then there was the Jerome Ford run, which was probably where the cracked smile happened. And it wasn't because of the TV. It was because my dad was like, these guys want it. These guys want it bad. And he says these little lines, like when it was Njoku, he's like, these players don't like each other. They don't like each other. Like he's just constantly commentating the biggest. You think Robbie is the biggest homer? My dad is the biggest homer of all Cleveland Guardians, Cleveland Browns, OSU. Like you can't get an actual. We used to do lock of the, and we maybe eventually will bring this back. We used to do Chuck's locks of the week. And I would say about 50% of them were Browns players or OSU alum. And that was 4 years ago. I don't remember the last time we did it. So it was scary then.
You guys from Cleveland, man. Love your Browns. It doesn't matter how good the Cavs or the Guardians are. It is still a Brown city.
Yeah, I think that's true, but I think you find that everywhere. Usually there's the one team that's like
LA is the Lakers. It's not the Dodgers. It's not the Rams. That is a Lakers city.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is for the Browns or for Cleveland, their favorite sport that they root for is a sport that they're terrible at most of the time.
I pretty much
you have winning teams there. Other sports.
I just think, well, here's the thing. Oh, the Cleveland's not near as bad as places like Miami or.
What are you talking about?
Miami Dolphins weren't able to fill a stadium.
Oh, yeah, that's normal.
We fill all our stadiums, maybe not baseball, but I don't think many cities are filling baseball at this point.
No.
But
they're not.
Like we fill our stadium, like
well,
even
Miami's
the
got
Cavs.
freaking South Beach.
I'm just saying, like at least we're loyal in that sense. We buy the tickets, we go support.
Yeah, I mean, you do. I mean,
all right.
Cleveland games are fun, but it is kind of crazy. Like the Cleveland Browns fandom, it just overtakes every other sport. It's like they haven't won anything. You guys should be obsessed with the Cavs.
Ohio's technically a football state.
Yeah, it's a pipeline state.
It's Texas, Ohio, PA,
Cali, Florida.
Didn't realize Florida, but that makes sense that Florida is too. Let's get into some news. Ken Dorsey fired as the OC for Bills. Big news, not changing news, excitement. Well, how do you feel about that?
It's big news. It's the biggest way for the Bills saying we're not comfortable with our offense without blaming Josh Allen.
Josh has been tough.
This isn't a new thing.
No, it's not, but Diggs has usually kind of made sure to cover a lot of these.
Yeah. Teams would rather give up big plays to Gabe Davis at this point than allow Diggs to get involved. And even when Davis has his big plays, Josh Allen's making bonehead decisions.
There was one where Davis should have caught it, and it was an interception, though.
Yeah. I mean, but what I'm saying is Josh Allen's never going to be like a top half interception guy. He's always going to be a bottom half interception guy.
Which, here on Fantasy, we love that.
That's fine.
We do.
Because he takes
we do.
Yeah. He's still a QB1.
He's very 2000 sort of QB with rushing.
Yeah. Yeah, he's John Elway.
Alexander Madison left third quarter, probably out next week with the concussion. Look, I know this is not big news. I've said to Alex pre-show. Unfortunately, if you have Madison, you're probably starting him. So it seems like you're going to have a backup plan this week.
Yeah. Spend all you've got on Tyson Chandler.
All?
A lot.
T. Higgins unlikely to play this week. I believe they play Thursday at the Ravens. I'm pretty sure.
Short week, I think.
You're hoping to get him back next week. I don't even know if I want to hear Alex's thoughts on this. I'd rather just keep going. Michael Carter cut. Michael Carter cut. You said this is a big nothing sauce. You don't think any teams are even going to claim him, or you do think they'll claim him and it's just irrelevant?
It doesn't matter. I mean, he'll probably. I don't think he gets claimed. Somebody picks him up. He ends up being the third or fourth running back, practice squad. He'll probably get some snaps at some point this season because of injuries, but he sucks.
Oh, I hate that. He's pretty good in the receiving game. I don't think he's that bad.
He's bad.
Oh, man. How did I spell Jones wrong? Mac Jones benched. Mac Jins is benched. Do you think he's the starter next week?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
You think that the Bailey Zappi 2-minute drill was all they needed to see? Because I don't think that's very fair to Bailey if this is what
I think the Patriots at some point thought they were going to get something similar to like a Sam Howell type guy, and he's not. He doesn't have the talent he has.
Who, Bailey? You're talking about
Bailey doesn't have Sam Howell talent. Mac Jones is more efficient and smarter, but he's missing big plays. The offense is terrible, but he missed 2 touchdowns last week.
You don't think they something I heard on ESPN is like you bench a guy in the 4th quarter with a 2-minute drill coming up. You tell the team, I don't have trust in this guy.
Yeah.
It's hard to go back unless they give Bailey Zappi a game here and see what he does.
We've done that, man.
And it's kind of mixed results.
Yeah. I think at this point, you've got to make a decision of like, you're going to have more than likely a top 3 pick. You got to figure out if you're going to give Mac Jones another year and you get somebody like Marvin Harrison or, and make some moves for weapons and see if it pans out, or you see how this guy does with adversity. You pull him out of the game, you throw him back in and say, prove me wrong. Here's your chance. Prove me wrong.
Don't know if you saw this clip today that came on Pat McAfee show. Dan Orlovsky thinks that Bill Belichick, head coach GM, already to a new location is all but confirmed, essentially.
I think realistically that he will not let himself get fired.
Yeah, so I mean, but that's which goes into this a little bit even more.
I think
he's already lining up a second spot.
Yeah, I think what I've seen and what I think realistically happens is he does become a coach somewhere else, which obviously that'll show. It's kind of like the Tom Brady thing, like, hey, put me with a better team, see if I can win.
So I think the Pat McAfee guys did a quick, they did a couple, I swear one of them said this, Chargers.
Yeah, that would make sense.
That would be insane.
You have to have weapons there. I mean, Staley's terrible. He is a terrible head coach.
He's killing them.
Yeah. I could see him. I could see Belichick going to the Falcons just because of the defense being pretty solid and them having young pieces there. Like, he'll have an offensive quarter try to figure it out. But I don't think there's a worse.
Clay, don't you have a game?
No, man. Money's not everything.
I don't know how to necessarily rate this, but I guess we'll just talk about it real quick.
My 16-team league
lineup: Burrow, CMC, Kamara, Amon-Ra, Jamar Chase, Mark Andrews. I feel like this is you either fucking with us or they're both great teams for how many, right? I mean, like, what the hell?
If your grandma's league has any more spots, let me know.
I can't, like, both of them are insane for
16-team league.
And then his 20-man is still Lamar, JT, A. Jones, Reek, DJ Moore, Kelsey, and Christian Kirk. Yeah. There's no way you're 5-5 with those squads. That's insane.
What's the buy-in on this retirement home?
Let's talk about one of ours. Huh? We want to talk about one of our leagues? We talk a little Dynasty here?
No.
You made a move today.
I sure did.
I withheld telling you my thoughts on it.
Yeah, you did a good job throwing curveballs at me like, hey, what do you think about clouds? And I'm just like, oh, I like them.
Who?
Just you trying to get me to not talk about it when I was like, hey, what did you think? I was like, oh, I'll get to that. And you just sidetracked real quick because I could tell you didn't want to touch on it.
So you shipped off Kyle Pitts and a 2025 second.
Yeah.
For Cole Kmet and Rondale Moore. So at surface, just the trade. I do not love it, right? I mean, You have to have some big belief in Cole Kmet. I mean, I'm assuming your belief is something along the lines of, well, Chicago's probably drafted a QB. Cole Kmet will be used properly. They'll probably have a new coach. It has to be all of those. Going to use your favorite line here, hypotheticals.
Or not.
But Kyle Pitts in general, though, I mean, is kind of one of those unicorns that are just always overpriced in Dynasty. And this is every trade with him involved, which we've now seen, I think 3 over the last 2 months, has been lower and lower of value than we've ever seen before. So what's your thoughts on this?
For me, the reason why I wanted Cole Kmet, my Dynasty team that I have set up in this league is for me to try to win this year. After, if I don't win it this year or next, more this year, then I'm just dismantling my whole squad. So Kyle Pitts, he's on a bye week. I need to win this. I'm like on the 6 or 7 seed right now. So I need to win games. Pitts is on a bye week. He hasn't done a lot. I like him, just not this year.
He hasn't done much.
Right. I don't like him this year going forward. I had more hope for him this year, especially with the QB change, and I think Arthur Smith is just ruining it. And Cole Kmet has been playing well. And
tight end 5 in our tight end premium league.
Yeah. The last, couple games, he's getting attention. I mean, I need him for this week. I think for the year, I honestly see him finishing in the top 5. And I have Waller on my IR. So Rondale was an extra piece on it. He did get 6-7 targets from Kyler last weekend. So he is getting more involved with Kyler. So to me, it was a win now move.
What's your plans for when Cole Kmet has his bye?
Hunter Henry.
Oh, okay.
Henry's on a bye too. Yeah, Henry's on a bye too. So
gotcha.
I probably wouldn't have looked at it as this hard, but I'm like, you know what? Cole Kmet is better than Kyle Pitts this year, and I think he is for the rest of the year.
Hey, Fantasy Daddies, long-time listener, first-time caller. In my league, I have huge draft capital. It's all the guys want from me. When I'm working through a trade with someone, they keep pressuring me into putting more out there. It makes me upset, and then they ghost me when I won't do it. How can I get those guys to look past my massive draft capital?
You have to drop almost your entire squad.
He's not really worried about his entire squad being dropped because half of them are bums.
Yeah, but it is going to be.
He does need to make some upgradable moves
for sure.
He does.
He's got some good players that aren't going to do anything for him. Probably, long term, that he could probably get some more draft capital for.
He needs to get to working he's out of seconds. He needs to start moving some of these picks.
He doesn't have a first round pick, does he? Who's in last in this league? I forget. Is it Felix?
Well, it's max points, and he has currently Brian is winning that because he has the persons. The max points person, I believe, is Captain Crisco. He said, my Pitts offer just kept getting more and more pricey. So he's legit asking, apparently. I don't know if he's messing around with us or whatever. It's hard to. How can any of us look past 9 first rounds and be like, yeah, I don't want 2 of those, 3 of those. Pay the piper. You got those because you made people pay the piper. It's what you did to get them. So you don't get past it. You either roll with it like you're doing, which is fine.
You're going to have to give 2 picks for Kyle Pitts. Not 2 first, but two good picks.
And I see, I'm not the same. I don't believe you have to. He has asked me about a player. Here it is. He's asked me about McBride, and he's like, offer me a first and a second. I have no reason to get rid of McBride. I was like, you're going to have to pay me 3 of those first. And I don't care. I said, give me the last ones. I don't care. I don't want to trade McBride though. That's what I said. I don't want to trade him. I don't want to trade him.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like if you don't want to trade him, you can ask whatever you want. It's a seller's market. That's some of my logic with just me getting rid of my picks for players, because it's like, even if you have a ton of picks, you're going to want players. You're not just going to want to draft. You want young talent, and it's going to be a seller's market with you having all those picks.
Well, and I think what Brian's going to do, I think he already knows this, and I think what he's I believe this is in his ideas or thought process, but he needs to sell some of them for 2025.
Yeah.
He needs to, and probably the price probably goes up as we near the draft. People are going to want in. They're going to see who's potentially going there, and that's probably the best time to do it. They probably could get a first and a third, maybe even somebody who's willing to pay a first and a second of 2025 for one of his 2024 firsts. That's really how he's going to want to do it. Shake it down as the time nears.
If it's like a top 5 pick.
But I don't blame you. Like, look, so the answer to this question is people won't look past the massive draft capital, which means you just win by just saying, fine, I will hold on to it and move on and take my picks. And that's how you get the value that you got. Because I don't think anybody's.
It'll be smarter for him to have the picks, and if he doesn't get into something ideal, draft with those picks, and then people will trade for the player before the season.
Yep.
They'll see where their holes are, and they're going to have everything.
He plans on owning the entire NFL one day. I also made a dynasty trade today, and I have a feeling you're going to kind of poo-putz this one. I traded 2 seconds, 2024 seconds for Zach Charbonnet today.
Yeah, I think.
Now this is a 14-team league, and it's the same league that we're looking at. Both those draft picks are probably late seconds, both of them. It shows the name, but it's not the right name on here. I don't know why it shows it that way. Yeah, so my thought was I don't know what RB I could get there that would be in a better situation or better. Because I'm going to need RB.
Your team is just confusing. It's like, are you buying in or are you not?
It's showing shape, dude.
But I don't know. I don't know what your actual goals are for this year. I don't know. I
have no goals for this year other than try to get.
Well, then why did you trade for Charbonnet?
Because
there's zero benefit really for those 2 picks. I would have kept the picks and traded them closer to draft time.
For what though? He might be more expensive by then. He flipped
Charbonnet?
He flipped the snap percentage.
He's only worth
last 3 games.
Yeah, Walker's been injured. It's been like a known thing that he's getting over it.
He's been injured all year.
Dude, who's still looking better?
Charbonnet honestly looks better. He just doesn't get the work. He does. He's outperforming him in at least rushing, maybe not receiving. He is absolutely outperforming him in rushing.
Yeah, I just don't see him ever taking over the backfield unless Walker is injured. I just don't.
Yeah, but I think like with late seconds, what starting RB are you planning on getting with a late second?
You're talking about 2 seconds.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
So you're taking 2, like I wouldn't go into the draft with those 2 seconds. I would figure out either a different player, make a trade with different player, or I'm trying to upgrade my picks.
I like Charbonnet.
I mean, that's it. Yeah, you like him. You've liked him beginning of the season. You thought he was going to be a real threat to kind of his backfield.
That was Cody. That was more Cody. But I was very indifferent about it.
You brought up his draft. Oh, they wouldn't have drafted him. Like,
yeah, I was playing very middle that conversation. I'll have you know.
Yeah, I think Charbonnet is legit.
He does live in the land of make believe.
Of what's the make believe that Charbonnet is going to take the head RB spot? No, I don't think anybody thinks that.
I don't even think that. But I don't know what second, especially this draft. Like, what RBs are we drafted in the late second, and who's going to want those picks? Especially when it comes down to the time of looking at the players that are there. You're like, ooh, I don't know if I want.
I mean, if you're happy with it, that's all that matters. I just wouldn't have done it. I'm not that high on Charbonnet.
No, but I also knew that you hate Charbonnet. Like, you hate him.
I don't hate him. I just don't think
you hate him.
He has I think he's a decent receiver. I think he's a decent receiver out of the backfield. And he can make some big runs, but it's also like he wasn't even the starter at Michigan. He wouldn't have been the starter. God. He's a solid back. That's it. He's a solid back.
He's outperforming Kenneth Walker, not in fantasy.
You're talking about yards. I would say yards per carry. Is that the only thing you're talking about? Is yards per carry?
Looks good.
Yeah.
Looks good. Let's talk some waiver wires, and we'll cut to just our ugly mugs back over here. let's talk some QBs that we want to, pick up. Who you think is on the waiver wire that you're interested in?
Say QBs?
Yeah.
I don't know if Dobbs is going to be available still. I think in maybe like 10 or 12 team leagues, he probably could be. He looks good. It's just kind of crazy that this dude kind of bounced around and he ended up might being pretty good. Jordan Love, I know a lot of people the last couple of weeks were dropping him, and then he had a pretty solid game. There's still some bye weeks ahead. I think it's not a terrible idea to have him on your bench, and he could improve going down. And Russ, he's been pretty consistent around the same spot. He's not going to amaze you. He's not going to give you probably a 25-point game, but he's probably going to get you close to 17 points every week.
Russ has been great. Russ has been great.
He's a
yards.
Top 10. He's 10-ish, give or take.
He gets tutties like no other. That dot
he
last night
pretty good. Yeah,
he did, and that's the other thing. He gets some rushing yards. Maybe I expect maybe a 1 or 2 rushing touchdowns.
You're going to get
the rest of the year.
Probably going to get a few points rushing, close to it every game.
He's been like super flex or 2 QB leagues. He has been an absolute gem to have because you probably got him.
He won me my league in my 1 QB league, my 12 team. You won it for me last week.
Jordan Love's been pretty good. Not maybe not from a play-in perspective, but he's QB 13 on the year. Yeah. He had last week 2 of his interceptions, which forcing the ball to Christian Watson. 2 of his interceptions came within the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about Christian Watson, but he and Christian Watson are not on the same page. Yeah, so he was overall having a pretty solid game. Say it again.
I think Christian Watson is just too much of an athlete and not a polished route runner.
I hear it.
I think when he's running a fade, it's Jordan Love's not getting the ball out quick enough and on target. I think Christian's just outrunning it instead of adjusting to it, and I think he's just not great just breaking in and out.
There was another play that they talked about where Christian Watson had to widen I think it was a go route. And the widening obviously takes more time. So he just wasn't there when Jordan Love threw. Like they're just really not on the same page. I think Christian Watson's weaknesses are being exposed too. Like he's got to go up for some of these 50-50 balls a little bit better. Like it was about 4 or 5 weeks ago, got boxed out by a 5'7" cornerback. I'm not saying it was a perfect ball. That's not what I'm trying to get at. But you got to give more than what happened in that play, and it was just not good.
Yeah, he's got to realize it's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not going to get balls in the basket consistently and just being able to outrun. Like Jordan Love's going to underthrow you. It's going to happen. He's going to overthrow you. It's going to happen. You've got to adjust.
Yeah, they need a lot more time together. He's constantly hurt, which is kind of throwing them off too. Because you can see a little bit better chemistry with Jaden Reed and even Dobbs. Definitely Dobbs. Or Daubs. My QB I had on here was also check for Matthew Stafford. If he's healthy, you get Matthew Stafford off the waivers, he could put up a top 12. If they still go for it, he could put up a top 12 rest of season.
Yeah. He's I think out of the guys he's risky. When he plays, he can be really good, but to be honest, he hasn't been spectacular when he's played this year, and
it hasn't been bad. He just hasn't had a lot of touchdowns.
No.
The guys that we're listing have a lot of touchdowns. Dobbs has a lot of rushing touchdowns. Jordan Love has a ton of touchdowns. Russ has a ton of touchdowns. But if I had to order these, for me, it would go Russ, Stafford, Love, Dobbs, somewhere there.
You have Dobbs at the bottom. I would have had him closer to the top.
Yeah.
I would have.
I'm happy with all 4 of these guys.
I would go Dobbs, Russ, Stafford, Love.
I just don't know what to make of Josh Dobbs, dude.
Nobody does. He shouldn't. That's the thing. He's not supposed to be playing good. Like this isn't Jacoby Brissett.
4 rushing touchdowns in the last 4 games.
Dude,
he's had a rushing touchdown.
Man. He doesn't even look like he moves fast, but he's kind of big and just is like, oh, I'm there.
6'3", 216.
Yeah. Like he's looking better than Justin Fields right now.
He plays Denver next week, and Denver and Minnesota are two of the most improved defenses on the year.
Sean Payton's finally starting to click.
That's all they wanted to talk about on Monday night, but it's true like that. But I don't think people are talking about Minnesota's defense turning around as much as it has, because it has.
I remember how much shit I got over Brian Flores and me praising him over the summer.
That was me.
What do you mean? You giving me shit?
Yeah, it was all me.
I think it was more, but yeah, you definitely gave me shit for it.
It was mostly me. And see, this is where when I own up to anything I ever say, and you'll still like the Charbonnet things. I was very much a mediator in that. And you were like, no, it was you. No, I own up when it is me. But the reason I'm going to give the reason why I gave you shit. Because you love everything Patriots, dude. You were telling me Bill O'Brien would have changed the Patriots.
I think Bill O'Brien's decent, dude. They have no talent.
I don't know.
You can't like, and here's the thing. It's like, there's been a lot of games.
Fired.
Huh?
Nothing.
Well, he was fired when he got a GM position, which was the same thing with Patriots. Like, neither of them know how to do anything in the draft and contract wise. Both morons.
No, I'm in the belief like you and the head coach and the GM should absolutely be collaborating at every step they can. But I think that separate positions. Yeah.
I mean,
there's
two coaches who have that right now, and that's Bill and Pete Carroll.
I didn't know Pete Carroll was the GM.
Mm-hmm.
Relatively new?
I think for a little while. But I think he makes pretty much all personnel decision.
I think you get too close to it. I don't see what's the harm if like you and the GM are on the same page. That could be incredible.
There's a difference between there's just a difference between having like a great football mind and then also having like a great finance analytical mind.
It's very two different. Yeah,
they're so different. So different.
Doesn't even make sense like why some of the head coaches want to do that.
Do you
just
remember
work with your GM?
Do you remember when they made Mike Ditka the GM at the Saints? And he traded 5 first-round draft picks for Ricky Williams just to trade him 2 years later. Do you remember that? How ridiculous it was?
Well,
5 first-rounders?
John Lynch has made some bozo moves and some great, but there's been some questionable moves.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the thing with like Bill. It's like, man, it's obvious you have no idea what you're doing as a GM. It is laughable how terrible he's been.
Yeah, the wide receiver misses is just like glaringly obvious. He's done fine on defense, I think, mostly until this year.
It's like hit and miss. He's just still a very good defensive coach. Those players, when they leave the Patriots, aren't very good.
So let's get into some RB ads. The waiver wire is getting slim. So this episode in general is probably going to go a little bit quicker. Alex and I tend to do it a little bit different than the 50% sort of. We try to stay away from the not in my leagues and look at our leagues and see who's available and who we would pick up. That's kind of where we base our list off of. So bear with us if we're missing some of these big names that should be picked up, and we hope that you have. So, Alex, give us some RBs.
Tyson Chandler, I think just kind of stating the obvious. You know, Vikings are down 2 running backs. And Chandler's look better than Madison. It's faster. Latavius Murray. Cook's got a fumbling problem. He's a better runner than Latavius Murray, but they keep giving Latavius Murray the ball, and they have been more lately. I think both of them are going to be available. Devin Singletary is where it's going to be kind of close. I feel like he's probably picked up by now. He's still going to be available, and kind of your smaller leagues. He looks better than Dameon Pierce. He has pretty much most of the season, and last week he kind of cemented that he is the better back.
I think what was interesting, I'm pretty sure I would have to look at it, but I was pretty in on him this week. I think a lot of people looked at last week and said he's a bum, but they were against – 1 second, because it was actually a really solid rush defense. Tampa Bay. They were against Tampa Bay. And he was like 5 rushes for -1 yards or something. And it was just they couldn't get the running game going, and then they just decided we were passing all over them. Let's stick with this. But no, I think this game was that's it, right? That's it for Pierce. I mean, he'll probably see 35 to 40% snaps, but I think we just saw a flip, right?
Yeah.
Singletary looked good, and it's weird that Singletary is good because his measurables aren't great. Like
he's not fast.
He's not fast. He's bigger than I thought, but he's not
like 5'8", 5'8", 205.
It's just so funny because like you want this sort of rushing ability to be on every running back and then take their size from it, right? Like he's always kind of been like this. It's weird, efficient, and it doesn't even make sense. We did get I'm going to give some of my RBs as well. 12-man PPR Superflex, Murray, Eckler, Jacobs, Tyree, JJ Hall, Minshew, and Hollywood and Higgins on the bench. What moves should I make? My move that I think your team's pretty solid. I would try to get a different QB, but they're probably overvalued as hell, is my assumption.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm looking at this and just saying I don't think you really need to make any moves. Probably because what you're going to have to give to upgrade QB is one of those pieces, and I think those are good pieces.
Are there any QBs on the waiver? That is my question. I doubt it. I doubt Dobbs is there. I doubt Love is there. I doubt Russ is there.
I'm not starting. I mean, I think I would start Dobbs over Minshew. Murray, I would start every game going forward.
He's got a lot to prove.
Yeah, I mean, he looked good. I mean, did his stats blow you away last game? No, but if you watched him, he looked good. He looked like Kyler Murray. I mean, dude gets shit on so much, and they just forget he's one of the best athletes in multiple sports to come out in a while.
One of my things that I said prior to this week was I believe Cardinals are playing him because there is the slightest hopes that they can win out and make playoffs. It's very small. But I believe the real reason is, do we want to keep this guy?
Yeah, they're
going to use the 8K sample. Yep.
Yeah, they're going to see it.
Can you add Kenny Pickett? Go out and just add him. Have the depth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless it would be you dropping any of those players above, I wouldn't do it. Maybe Murray, but that would be the only one I would consider doing it for.
You said dropping Murray?
Latavius Murray?
Oh, I thought that was Kyler Murray.
Oh, it is Kyler Murray. Or I assume it is.
I don't know.
Based on how the order is.
I would think that if it was Latavius Murray, it would say Latavius Murray.
Yeah, I think it's Kyler too. I messed up. Yeah, I wouldn't drop any of those guys if that's Kyler.
Right. Yeah.
But I would add if there's more. I don't either. That's a really. He said no Kyler, so I'm assuming it's Kyler. If that's a small team. If there's more bench spots outside of those guys, I would definitely put Kenny Pickett on that team.
Yeah.
Some RBs I have on my list. I'm going to start with my main one, Keaton Mitchell. I expect kind of big things from him. It's funny because very small, but this is like Baltimore knows how to use speed, and he's fast, real fast. It's all they talked about during the Browns game is how fast he was. They said his touch count was a little limited because of the injury. He had a hamstring injury throughout the week. Dude looks good.
Yeah, he's good.
No, I think I would rather have Minshew than Pickett. If you had more bench spots, which maybe you don't outside of the names you listed.
Steelers don't have a easy schedule.
I'd rather have Minshew, and he just slings it more. But if there was like another bench spot outside of those guys, I would pick up Pickett.
Right.
Speculative ad, deep leagues. You're gonna hate this. Michael Carter.
Would you rather have him or Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Michael
Carter.
Okay.
But situations will change that, right? If Michael Carter goes somewhere where he's back to RB3, I don't. But my assumption is he gets picked up by a team. He becomes pass catching back with some spells. I'm trying to think of
maybe
like Chargers. I think Chargers
Vikings.
would be Vikings would be so nice. Chargers would be kind of nice. Having a guy he is not Eckler, but has some of the same skills as Eckler could be a nice backup.
I mean, I don't know if he's better than Kelly.
He is.
I don't think, dude. I really don't.
Can we not talk about Smelly? Can we just rule Smelly out of this whole podcast forever?
Like Carter is so bad.
I don't think he's as bad as you say.
He's terrible. Watching him run last year, it was just like him closing his eyes and running into a wall.
I like him catching passes out of the backfield.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like Rashad White right now. I don't like watching Rashad White run.
Drastically better than Mike.
I don't like watching Rashad White run. I like him catching passes out of the backfield. He's been amazing at that.
Well, they don't have a great run blocking line.
What do you want me to tell you?
Jets actually have a decent run blocking line. Not a great pass blocking line, but a decent run blocking line.
Brees hasn't done much with it, but it's because they stack 8 in the box.
What's he? I mean, I feel like Brees is probably close to 5 yards per carry.
No, not over the last 4. He's really struggled over the last 4. He has. Why are you laughing at me?
I'm just saying, were they against good teams?
1 point. Here's the last 4: 3.25, 1.42, 3.13, 2.15. Philly, Giants, Chargers.
Yeah, not good defenses.
Philly's a good rush defense, and Giants is a sneaky.
Giants have a good
good
line. Yeah. Vegas has a good defensive line.
Chargers, I think so too, but sometimes Vegas just give up a shit ton of rushing. But apparently not this.
If you can throw it, you can run on them.
I think Zach Charbonnet is another redraft ad. Look, I'm biased. You guys saw my trade at the start of the show, but snap share wise is getting a decent amount of snaps. If nothing more than just somebody as a stash have on your bench. I doubt he's out there in a lot of leagues, but I did see him in one of my 10 teams. So, which I don't know if I would do in a 10 team, but definitely 12 team.
I'd rather have Charbonnet than Michael Carter.
Oh yeah.
Charbonnet is actually a decent handcuff, and Geno Smith doesn't look good, so they're going to run a lot. So at least there's something there.
Yeah, Jaylen Warren, speaking of like teams that are just going to run a ton, Jaylen Warren, if he's out there, which I doubt he is, but some 10 teams.
Yeah, Warren's good.
He looks good. He looks like a little Eckler.
He's like
that's an actual little Eckler.
He kind of reminds me of Jerome Ford, just kind of how he runs and just.
Ford's freaking good too.
That's what I'm saying. They're just
Chubb.
They're guys that just don't look very big, but they hit holes really good. They hit holes
Warren's
quick.
Way bigger than, in my mind, Ford as far as like meteor. Warren built like Eckler, like Maurice Jones-Drew, just a bowling ball.
Ford's 5'10", 210. I know Warren's short.
But he's got to be meaty.
Who, Warren?
Yeah, he looks meaty. I don't know what his actual size is.
I feel like they are probably very similar in size. 5'8", 215, so Warren's bigger and shorter. Yeah, he's a big
boy.
He's like Ray Rice.
Yeah, Ray Rice. I think Eckler is a good comparison. Eckler, I think, is a little taller, though, maybe.
I think Eckler's like 200 pounds.
Eckler's 5'10", 200. He never looks 200.
I was going to say,
look 200.
No, dude, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, Eckler looks like Raheem Mostert.
No, he doesn't. He looks big.
Bro, they are the same size. You know who else is almost the same size?
I'm just saying, looks. All right, let's go.
James Cook. James Cook looks like Austin Eckler.
Get the hell out of here. He's 190. Yep. Tight end.
Technically, he's 200 now.
Just kidding. We didn't do wide receivers yet, so let's do some wide receivers. Oh, look at this biased middle one. Go ahead and give us some wide receivers that you like this one.
Brandon Cooks getting more involved in the offense, looking pretty solid. Dak's playing better than any QB in the league right now. Rondale Moore.
Better than any QB in the league?
Dak, for let's say the last 4 weeks, who's played better?
Since last 4. You're right.
I mean, he's been lights out. I hate to say it, bro. You know I hate Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. I hate him.
But in all fairness, have seen some of the worst secondary in the last 4 weeks.
For sure.
We had Chargers, Rams, who actually has a decent secondary, but have been known to give up points. Philly, who's been shit on secondary, and then the Giants, who've been really rough.
Yeah, but still, he's still doing it.
Faces Carolina, who's actually been a little bit stingy against the pass.
Yeah, but I think the attention goes to Lamb, so it's like Lamb still eats and Cook still gets opportunities. Rondale Moore, the dude, is super athletic, but just I don't know if they ever can figure out what exactly he can do well. But with Kyler back, he did get more targets than he has in a while. He is good in the slot. He is quick. He's kind of a utility type guy. He's like a very, very, very poor man's Percy Harvin. I think it's worth rostering. There's not a ton. I mean, to be honest, in a 12-man league, there's not going to be a ton of better options at receiver available. You might get.
Let me give you an option here because I have one other for wide receiver that I figure might as well talk about. Would you rather, in a 12-team redraft, rather have Michael Wilson or Rondale Moore?
Redraft? Yeah, probably Michael Wilson.
I think so too.
But it's close. It's not as far off as I think most people would think.
Well, Rondale is very boom bust. Michael Wilson might have a solid role going forward.
Yeah, he has the most potential on this. I mean, he's huge. He's a big receiver. But yeah, my third guy was Odell. Lamar and Odell have chemistry, dude.
Mm.
Zay Flowers is the number one receiver there, but Odell has been finding pockets.
I don't think so, man. I think Odell would be a waste pickup. Look, he broke one off. He got 2 targets last week, and he broke one off for like a 38-yard.
Yeah, it's 2 targets against it was a top 5 defense in the league.
A top 5 defense that was hurting in the secondary. They were down 2 corners at a part of the game. He broke one off.
The game split 7 targets, 4 targets, 7 targets, 4 targets. Yeah, he only had 2 targets last game. That's his worst game target-wise.
I just don't think this is as much as you want it to be. I think it still the offense still runs through Mark Andrews and Zay Flowers. Even
I'm not starting Odell this week.
Yeah, so what's the point of rostering him? When would you ever start him?
I mean, you have a bench. I mean, Brandon Cooks is maybe a flex, like a second flex that I'm looking at. Rondale, I'm not starting. Odell, I'm not starting. But injuries happen, bye weeks happen, to where it's if this is a plug, like a bye week plug, and you have injuries or some, IR bye weeks, I wouldn't feel terrible putting these guys in at flexes.
So I have another guy here, and again, we're going to be looking at this in redraft, but I figure it's good to kind of just compare them. Would you rather start Odell or Jaden Reed?
Probably Jaden Reed.
So Odell is just if this chemistry really takes off, or something could happen. Zay Flowers is not the biggest receiver, so I think that is an argument to be made too. Like if something was to happen to Flowers or even Andrews, then it kind of opens up that door for Odell. I think Odell is a very speculative deep ad, but no, my 2 guys were Michael Wilson, Jaden Reed. I think they have some higher upside than Odell currently in their stage of, but I could see stashing Odell in hopes that he and Lamar continue to grow. Let's go to tight ends. Dude, got to talk about this one. It's a podcast favorite. There's not one guy that we all collectively love more than Trey McBride.
He's not available in any league.
He is. In a 10-team, I have it if you want me to pull it. In a 10-team.
Yeah, pull it. I want to see what the roster percentage is at. Because I agree with you. Obviously.
I just meant he was out there in the league.
Yeah, obviously it's if he's available, you're throwing the world at him. It is kind of crazy. ESPN roster, 10-team, 51%, Yahoo, 59%.
Yeah, he's still out there in quite a bit then.
Yeah, so half of the leagues it looks like.
Well, because what happened was
kind of crazy.
In a casual sense, he went off, and the conversation that Rob and I had where Trey McBride might struggle against the Browns. Browns have been pretty good against the tight end. What probably happened is anybody that picked him up said, as a casual watcher, picked him up, he sucked. They'd probably dropped him again. Then he went off last week, making his availability open once more. Dudes looked good, and it was cool to see Kyler looking at him as well, right?
Kyler
This wasn't just a Dobbs.
He likes that.
I don't think I ever realized that. I was a little nervous about this just being a Dobbs thing because Dobbs seems to really like the tight end position as well. Kyler looked at him a lot.
Kyler
made plays for Kyler.
Look good when he looked like shit at the Eagles.
Did you see the McBride play at the end of the game where he came back for the ball? It was a great play by him. He made it for Kyler. I'm not saying that's how the other 8 catches or 9 catches were, but the very end, that's one of those trust building catches. I have these ones from last week. They're probably one of them might be available. Dalton Kincaid probably gone, but if he's out there, go grab him. Luke Musgrave. That's in the order of how I would pick these. Well, actually, Dalton Kincaid, Trey McBride are probably 1A, 1B. I don't even know who the 1A, 1B would be. Musgrave is much further down the list, but if you're desperate, I think he's a good.
Yeah, I have the same thing.
He gets work. Right?
He gets enough targets. He gets targets around that 10, 8 to 12 area. He doesn't do a ton with them, but he's getting targets. And if you're looking for a tight end for a buy or IR, like you're in a rough spot. So there's worse.
You had one other one too.
Logan Thomas. Nothing amazing.
He's been better than like what everybody in the fantasy football community ever wants to admit for whatever reason.
Oh, he's old and he's always injured. I mean, the dude stays injured. He hasn't been spectacular, but he has been
tight end 13.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's okay. I'm starting him in a league because I have Darren Waller in that league. And there's just there's really no other tight ends available. So
worse.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I mean,
Kyle Pitts is technically worse because Kyle Pitts is like tight end 19.
Yeah, he's a big boy too. He's like 6'7".
That's Alex. You have any last thoughts before we wrap it up?
No, I can't really think of anything. I don't see anything crazy, happening going on.
Great.
Yeah, I'm like the only thing I've been thinking about the Raiders a lot. Whether Jimmy G plays again.
I don't think he plays for the Raiders.
Yeah, there's certain things where
let's do a quick chat on that. That's a great, good point. Jimmy G, Derek Carr, Daniel Jones, all got massive contracts. What the hell do you do with them moving forward in anything?
Daniel Jones contract, you really only have to pay him next year, and you can cut him and eat like you're not eating a ton. Derek Carr
said that he's their quarterback, but it really kind of made it sound like unless they're a top 5 pick.
Yeah, I don't know because that team is bad, dude. The Giants are just very bad, and again, they don't have receiving weapons, so it's kind of hard to navigate that. Derek Carr sucks. It is like he'll have like a few weeks in a row where you're like, oh, he's not terrible. And then you're just like, he's actually not very good. He is scared to throw the ball downfield. I mean, Jameis is not the answer, but at least he's like, oh, I have Chris Olave on my team.
Does the Raiders feel like Jimmy G isn't even in the locker room anymore? Because that's what it feels like to me, the way that some of these videos come out about these guys talking. It seems like Jimmy G and Josh McDaniels were the most hated people in that locker room.
Yeah, I think it's just like Jimmy G's never really had to be like that leader role. Even at the Niners, it just never felt like he was.
I don't think he would know how to.
Yeah, I mean, and he just has played very bad. And they have weapons. I mean, they actually do have weapons.
Aiden looks fine back there.
Yeah,
and honestly, a lot of it I think is not necessarily him being like he was holding the ball a lot, way too long while playing. They weren't getting.
He thinks he has the Niners' offensive line still.
Yeah,
like
and
he doesn't.
Then he would always be hurt because he held the ball too damn long.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing I'll give credit to Dak is Dak used to hold the ball way too long. Russ early on the season held the ball too long. Deshaun Watson still holds the ball too long. But I don't think Jimmy G can adapt to it, and he doesn't move around the pocket well enough for like him to be able to be successful with it. I don't. There's a lot of quarterback situations that are weird.
I'm excited to see because there's a decent amount of quarterbacks coming out. It seems to be getting slimmer as the days move on.
Like if the Packers lose out, are they drafting a QB?
I hope not.
But you get what I'm saying? Like they're not a good team. Like they could be a top 5 pick. That realistically could happen.
I thought about this. I've been thinking about this a lot, obviously. If Marvin Harrison was available, you think the Packers go a quarterback, which would be, if Marvin Harrison was available, would be probably QB3 at that point, unless they are top 3. Or do they? No, they probably can't be a top 3 at this point. They already have 3 wins. Probably like it's going to be, if they get 2 more wins, they're not a top 3 pick.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. It's kind of they're in that lower tier of like 4 or 5 teams.
Yeah, so like, who you take JJ McCarthy, but like, there's no way they would take JJ over Marvin Harrison. I think at that point, and just say, we got Jordan Love on a cheap contract, 1 more year. If we suck, we suck.
But it's just going to be interesting because it's like Carolina Panthers don't have a pick. Cardinals, we don't know yet. The Giants, we don't know yet. The Bears, we don't know if
I think the Giants, we have a good idea. The Giants are almost going to be a top 3 pick.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. They're probably going to be a top 3 pick, but are they taking a quarterback?
Right.
The Rams need a quarterback.
I think and I know you're going to hate this. I think there was a long-term reasoning behind that signing. I don't know what they paid him. I never actually went back to it, but why else? Because I don't even think I don't even think Stafford sits this week.
I think I'm going to be completely honest. I still think if they are somehow making it into a top 3 pick, which I don't know if they are that bad. There's just a ton of worse teams, but
it is only a 1 year.
Right. I
didn't expect them to.
I think in their eyes, they still look at it as they have slim chance for a playoff, which is very, very slim. But yeah, like Titans aren't going to take a QB. Broncos are not going to be in that position. But then you have the Patriots where it's like, the Packers could be in that conversation.
I hope not. But I did just ship off a Packer just as we spoke. Just traded one away. Hate to do it, but I really liked Keaton Mitchell.
It's a weird year, dude. This is the weirdest year where it's like there's usually like 6 teams that just kind of separate themselves kind of halfway through the year, and it's like, no, there's like 3
or 10. Depends on how you look at it. I mean,
right.
Because who are the separating teams right now? Because it's not Miami. Is it Philly and Kansas City? Is that it?
I would say it's probably Philly, Kansas, and Detroit.
And Detroit's even a little bit questionable, but I think that's fair. But it can't be Baltimore anymore. And if it is Baltimore, then it's Cleveland as well.
No, yeah, I don't think it's the Ravens.
The Ravens really were that team that was stepping up, about to hit in that, or was considered in that elite category, and then they just lost this week, up 14 with 8 minutes left. That's a huge L.
Super bonehead. It's just it legit is a toss up.
No, AFC is getting absolutely nuts though. The AFC is freaking rowdy right now, and the Buffalo Bills aren't even one of the guys in the playoff hunt right now. They're not even one of the teams.
Dude, they're in the wild. And dude, it's like we talk about how bad the Raiders have been, and it's like, dude, they're 5-5.
Who gets screwed from the AFC North is what's going to happen. Because the Bengals are going to be there. The Steelers find a way to win. Unless the Browns really shit the bed.
The Browns, it comes. Dude, this is what's exciting. I'll say this. As the Browns being like, I would say like my B squad. I do want to see them do good, but I'm going to shit on them just because they're the Browns. But it's up to Deshaun Watson.
He played a hell of a second half.
It is 100% up to Deshaun Watson and Stefanski. Stefanski sucks. Trash. The worst offensive play caller in the position that he's in. Like to be in the playoff picture, he's terrible as a play caller. Matt Canada's in that conversation too.
I hate Matt Canada.
Oh, I hate Kevin Stefanski.
I do as well. I think it's been more Stefanski than Deshaun. They do seem to be finding some things out. I think everybody that's a football fan now, and I've said this, I think, a lot in the summer, and it goes with rookies as well. We're so quick and we want that instant gratification, instant success on every move that is ever made, every rookie that is ever drafted, every move that is ever made. And the rookie thing specifically, I can understand the Stefanski, Deshaun Watson argument more, but the rookie thing specifically is it takes time. I understand giving up on some guys like Quentin Johnson. I feel a little bit nervous about. You don't want to see that when the opportunity is there and you still don't see your quarterback necessarily trusting you. That's a moment of concern. So I understand there, but then it's like freaking out about rookies when you draft them. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. There's some patience Not all rookies are Joe Burrow. Not all rookies are Jamar Chase. Not all rookies are Justin Jefferson. You kind of got to.
You know who was? Deshaun Watson was.
He was, and he's getting back from a 2-year hiatus. He's getting into a new system. He's got new guys. And you know what? Before we close out, because I think it's time to close out, I've been a notorious Amari Cooper hater, never about his talent, always about how he's been committed to either the Raiders or the Cowboys and how he seems to always be dealing with something. This is not a Browns thing. It's just more of I've got to watch him play every single game. You can throw the ball wherever you want to Amari Cooper in this wide ass range and he will catch it. It's like the most insane thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I've never seen somebody so sure-handed. And I'm not even kidding. Like the dude's hands are insane.
Bro, I mean, you saw where I ranked Cooper going into the season. Like I had really high hopes.
He could have a huge second half. He might be a trade target for people.
Stefanski's the coach.
Doesn't matter. Stefanski.
He doesn't throw the ball.
Stefanski let him eat last year.
But he doesn't throw the ball down the field, dude.
When he does,
he doesn't. PJ Walker and Deshaun Watson have the same yards per attempt. It's trash. It's worse than Jimmy Garoppolo's. It's bad. It's really bad, and they can't complete it. It is just. It's like what they just do this. We're gonna throw low and outside, low and outside, low and outside.
Yeah,
he doesn't know how to throw the ball into the middle of the field. He doesn't know how to call plays to get it open downfield. And it's like when you have a defense that good, it doesn't always mean become a running team because then you're putting way too much pressure on your defense. But if you're going to put pressure on your defense, be risky. Be risky and push the ball down the field.
Defense is so good.
I've never seen an interception 50 yards down the field or 40 yards down the field is a punt.
This other thing, how is Stefanski not getting any of this blame for this defense being that bad when he allowed Woods to be the defensive coordinator for so long? Like, that's obviously what's been holding them back. Now they've added pieces since, but we're turning into a Browns podcast, but really we need to hop off. We didn't do fantasy. More fantasy coming to you tomorrow. We're doing another buy-sell episode. Trade deadline is probably this week. Next week, maybe it's past, but hopefully it hasn't. So you can catch out who to buy, who to sell with Robbie and Norton. And then Thursday, we'll be back with some studs and duds and some DFS plays. And then Sunday, make sure to tune in at noon. We do our live answering start-sit questions. Alex, what's your thoughts for week 11?
I'm excited to see how bad the Patriots lose and who the quarterback is.
I think it's Bailey Zappi. He thinks it's Mac Jones.
I hope Bill Belichick quits this week.
For myself, for Alex, we love you guys. Peace. Thank you for watching our episode. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
If you aren't already following us on Twitter, check us out at DadBodFS.
We'll be posting all of our best clips and videos to all of our social media: TikTok, Instagram, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube. You can find us on there at DadBod Fantasy Squad.
Lastly, if you'd rather just listen, we make sure we post our audio of each episode on all the major streaming platforms. Stick with us all season long so together we can count our trophies and not our calories.